Hey guys, we are live, it looks like. Fantastic. We did jazz last time. What's corporate? Yeah. Yeah. No. Sure. Let's do future pop. Alright, I'm going to take a little break from that to bring down the blood money. So, usually when I have to do major edits like this, I have to when I have to do major edits like this, what I have to do is kind of go to a new place, get a new mindset going. But we'll see where we go with this. I plan on doing a little bit of time editing. Then what we'll do is we'll just go through things, see how it goes. Hope you all are having a good evening. As people file in, I hope you have a good evening, or having a good evening. Excuse me. that's not right. Sobayevsky. There we go, Party Crashers. that'll do for now. I'm gonna send it to Anthony and let him edit it. That's one of the benefits of having writers. You can just tell them to fix this. It's your character, bud. Does this work? Lovely possums, God's little children. I'll send that to Anthony. Putting that to rest. All right. Now, do I want to continue editing? I think I will. What do I now call this? Assassin Ambassador. No. Sure. One of the cool things about having characters who are in the know about weird stuff, it's like, this guy can shoot stuff out of his things, out of his chest or whatever, but I see the gun. Maybe it's not a magical teleport thing. Maybe he's a doorway. Maybe, you know, maybe maybe it's a two-way street. Portals being one way is weird, by the way. It kind of works for wormholes, but if it's a magical portal, I don't think so. Once it's designed to be one way, but even then, like, who would design a one-way portal? I mean, I suppose you could, but it's like, it's a different thing. So, because it's like about permeability. Like, you could make it like a sieve, but even a sieve is two-way. It's just difficult. Like, if you're having, it's like, well, it goes to a different place. Well, how do you do that? Like, what's your magical reasoning here? Because, like, in Stargate SG-1, it makes sense that the Stargates are mostly one way. Or at least become one way in the end. You're going to a place, and it's a wormhole, and there's like an idea of a black hole. Like the science is there in a way, even if it's not like real science. It's like there's a reasonable amount that works and stuff like that. why don't people just counter invade through it? Well, when it turns on, you can put a giant F off metal platform in front of it, and people just splat against it. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, that's a simple solution, and it works. It just works a lot, and it's hard to kind of get that, where it's like, yeah, it just works. It just works, and it's all right. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't think people would have the guts to make that part of the show, like, to really like examine all the things that would happen with that kind of stuff. I think there's been a huge bleed of creativity, as we all know, but it's like, it's things. How do I want to put it? Like, so when Stargate SG-1 had its technology, there was a definite difference between technology that was clearly weird alien shit, like the Stargates, and technology that could be understood, like, the thing that they use to splat people, or the sarcophagi and stuff like that. Well, what does the sarcophagi do? It regenerates people, and it makes people go crazy because it doesn't quite take care of the problems of aging. Like the Gua'uld are suffering from dementia. Why is that? Well, because it doesn't exactly repair the brain. So there's a logic to it, right? The Stargates are a little bit wibbly wobbly, but that's okay. It's okay. But then it's like with the things like the guns that the Jaffa and stuff like that use. There's a bit of logic to it. This is a weapon that terrifies. This is a weapon that kills. Sort of speech that Jack gives. It's a logic that you can't really beat, because it works like within the system. If it didn't work within the system, there'd be a problem. Like, there's a congruency. There's a congruency to Stargate SG-1 that people like underestimate. All the weird alien stuff actually works within the rules. It never breaks the rules. The stuff that's a little bit too weird is things like the Ancients, Sobek, and whatnot. I think it was Sobek. Not Apophis. Anubis, maybe? I'm trying to remember. Old. Like, one of the problems that they had in the end, besides the just the length of the 10-year plus run, but like the Ori are a little bit fucky with the rules. Pardon my language, but it's so it doesn't quite work. I should rewatch that series. Yeah, it's pretty good. I guess it was Anubis. I find it one of the cooler characters was Apophis, because he always like came back even when he was defeated, and it was Sokar, that is. Like, oh, sorry, Apophis, I mean. So, like, he's like, oh, he's down for good. And then they kill, like, Sokar. And then they pull back all his stuff. And Apophis just takes over his area. And it's like... it's just funny stuff. It's like with Anubis, like he has, ascended, but he's still evil. What's the logic in that? What's the reasoning? Aren't you supposed to have like a kind of like state of mind and stuff like that? Well, I don't, and people can't interfere with him, even though he's also an ascended person. It's like there were rules that were dumb. Like, it's like, yeah, absolutely, an alliance of, men and Goa'uld fighting against, but, but then it's like he was a bit much. I mean, that's the problem. And it's about the logic of the series, right? So you have, like, these ancients that bound themselves to rules. But there's clearly an evil ancient that is, a Goa'uld, who is not following the rules, but you can't deal with him. That doesn't make any sense. He's one of you, even though he's evil and rejected, but at the same time, you can't treat him like you would Daniel Jackson when he tried to, attack Apophis. It's like, oh, they won't let you do it, When it's like, it would have been better for Anubis to like mortally wound Daniel Jackson. That would be a more satisfying thing. It's like, do you know why the ancients do not fight one another, stripling? And he like, banishes him with a wave of his hand. Or like, strikes him with some, unlimited power. He's already got the Palpatine robe. He might as well go for it. It's like it's difficult to deal with, because even if, like, he didn't have a complete, ascension into being a ancient, like it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, it just, there's a little bit of the, there's a little bit too much with it. And it's weird to say, because it's like, what do you mean it's too much? He's evil and he looks like Palpatine. No. But it's like, with the logic of the series compared to how the ancients are treated in different ways, it feels like it doesn't quite work out as much as we'd like. Like, it always did not satisfy me. It's like, oh, so he's like ascended or something? Yeah. Okay, so why did you let him do it? It's like, stupid. Oh, well. James Spader was Daniel Jackson in the movie. I legitimately thought that Michael Shanks, played all of them. But now that I've thought about it, it makes sense. It looks like he's still getting work. But yeah. All right. Those guys were pretty good. All right. This is a little bit of a banger. Yeah, no, Stargate was his big role. Michael Shanks. All right. Back to work. Still kind of miss Stargate and stuff like that. Like it's a dang pity that Stargate kind of lost steam. It's like with like Stargate Universe, a lot of the problem that it had, it just kind of ground out, and then they got a little edgy in Stargate Universe when they didn't really need to be edgy in Stargate Universe, and it's just like okay, you know, sort of thing. Like how do I want to put it? Like if you're writing horror, you should be edgy. But the problem is that it's like a teacup, right? So like Terrifier is a great example. They weren't beating the first movie. And it's like, yeah, but they blew up a bunch of kids in the third movie. That's effed it up. That's messed up, man. Yeah, but it doesn't do anything. The possum scene was actually much more terrifying. Both because it was a torture scene for one of God's most precious creatures, but also because it was like, you know, these kids are messing with an opossum's corpse and it's getting thrown on them and stuff like that. That's gross. That is a little much. But then it's like, you know, but they kill a bunch of kids. It's like, that doesn't mean anything. I've seen him he skinned a woman alive. Like, we saw him saw a woman in half in the first one. Where do you go with that? Like, you know, like he wore the skin of a woman to, you know, he wore the skin of a woman to torment this, you know, other woman. It's just messed up. And sure, it had some new ideas for horror, but like fundamentally, like anything else is just Terrifier movies, you know, where the slasher villain is Terrifier and they're a little bit extra on the gore side of things. But it's like having the big shock doesn't do as much every single time. So it's like you have to vary it out. Like, you know, with different ways and stuff like that. And they do it pretty well within the movie, but like the things people point to and stuff like that just don't do anything for me. And I just kind of don't care. You know, by the end of Terrifier, I just didn't care really. You know, and it's not like I don't enjoy gore or anything like that. It is something I enjoy, but it's like they played all the really shocking cards. So even though I was looking for more shocking cards, in the end, there weren't any shocking cards that they could play. Like, they were just kind of done with what they could play. And that's a pity, because it's like with Fingernails Ghost, that's why I try to have like comedy episodes or peaceable episodes with how I write things out. Like, Jim has an episode that's going to come out called The Four Deaths of Featherhead Joe. It's about this crazy vet Indian guy, Native American, I should say, or First Tribes, maybe? I don't know. I don't like that one either, because they weren't the first tribes at all. Like, there were tribes before them that they killed. I guess Native American works, but you know, who goes crazy, and then Jim and Cordell have to. Kind of take him out together. And so the first time he tries to fly away, but Jim just... Sorry. But Jim just reaches out with the Varambizio and rips out the soul of the eagle that he had hooked up into him. And the eagle and the guy falls. Well, he transforms into a bear. And that they killed that one. You know, just as, you know, because it's a bear. It's another one of the bear. You know, there's callbacks to the RPG game that I did with Cordell and Carl, and yeah, overall it was you know, like, it was funny, you know, like they kill him by ripping out his fish form with the Varambizio, and the dude just drowns in the middle of the water, and then the police are like, "What the fuck have you been up to?" And then Cordell goes, "Hold on, I'm Mr. Langley and this is Mr. Gay. We're underground. He's been underground in the homosexual," you know, something like that. You know, like it's a big joke calling him gay. You know, and it's like, and then what makes it real, like, to me, really funny, you know, like in crafting the joke, you know, is that the police just are like, absolutely not, absolutely not. You know, you've clearly murdered a man some way, somehow, and violated many, many traffic laws. I think that's a funny way to go about it, you know? Like, there's like, I wish my mind didn't go blank when I wanted to talk about humor. It's one of the few things that I will, like, no matter how high I raise my verbal IQ, it just dies the second it's important. But it's like, you know, like the juxtaposition of, well, we're doing this thing and we're lying about it. Won't you believe us? Absolutely not. So one time I'm standing there, and we decide that there's this bar crawl happening at the door as a bouncer, and we've decided that anyone who's a little drunk, it's clearly come from it. They've had too much to drink. Therefore, you know, let's not let them in. And we don't let these people in because the girl was clearly off her ass drinking. And I wait a minute, and I walk back out to where they are, and it's clear that they're trying to, like, switch clothes. And I go, you know, that doesn't work on me. What? What are we working on? It doesn't work on me. I'm not going to be fooled. I'm going to kick you back out the second you walk in. No, we're not going to walk in. You know, you're being mean. Her friends are in there, blah, 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 you know. I'm kind of paid to be mean to women, so, you know, it's all right. It doesn't ever bother me anyway. It's not like I was going to go out on a date with her. So, anyway, so she walks in. Completely new shirt. The shirt that I saw her changing into. Come on, man. I'm not the same person. You're clearly the same person. You just changed your hair a little bit. You have the same face. And you have the shirt I saw you changing into earlier outside in the cold. No, I'm not. Etc., etc. You know, it's like, it's amusing. It's funny. It's like, you caught me setting up for the lie. And then you still try to lie to me. Oh, all right, let's do some more editing. For real this time. That's the only problem with working with others. We got Tasteful. I'm not going too long past midnight. I want to get to bed early. Oh, need triceps. For some reason, I rarely capitalize the next game like I should. They deserve that. The old-fashioned around. Excuse me. All right. I think it reads a lot better. There we go. And of course, these guys will come back later, but they won't matter as much. I'll send that to. All right, guys. Thank you for coming tonight. I only really wanted to spend an hour tonight. Didn't get much writing done, but I think we did get 2 stories edited, which was pretty good. Most of what I was looking for, I'll go over what I was looking for. So there's a little bit of value in the content. Basically, I was looking for things that didn't gel according to the style of the story. One of my flaws as a writer is that if I'm not careful, I will repeat myself. And I don't mean like a vain repetition like a AI does. I mean in the sense of I'll use shut too many times, and I just won't notice it because that's the right word to use. Um, but sometimes you just don't need it, or you can replace it with. Excuse me. You can replace it with something, or who cares what, you know. So it's like that kind of thing is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for flow. I'm looking for too much detail or too little detail, and you kind of know what's going on there because like some people are like, you should plan it out. You should have, a set amount of detail for each one. But in reality, there's only so much that people actually care for. And in fact, people care for a lot less than you think when it comes to descriptions and whatnot. The people who want descriptions will be pulled to your book. But in actuality, there's like cycles and what's popular and what's not. Gothic horror and the descriptions in Gothic horror were popular back in Gothic, times. They had their moment. They were coming out of the romance genre, in the King Arthur genre, or whatever you want to call it, the chivalric genre, I guess we'll say, and a bunch of other things. And that's what people wanted. That's what people liked. It gave them, they had the patience for it too. But in reality, people don't have the patience for the descriptions these days unless they're kind of into it. Like Suzanne Collins is somebody who does tons of descriptions, and quite frankly, they like, especially with that new one she made with all the statues. Quite frankly, not all of them were worthwhile. Like they didn't do anything. It was just there. It was just set dressing. Um, but in reality, it helped mark the space and the time and stuff like that. But like some things just didn't need it. Just didn't need it. But it was also necessary. So it's like it's a balance. You wanna read that kind of thing. You want to get that kind of thing. So you should write that kind of thing. But you should be happy in the genre that you're writing it. You don't really need it for science fiction. In fact, it doesn't quite work out that way. Um, descriptions, heavy Gothic descriptions, can actually work against you if you have somebody who's a little too autistic and knows that a flange doesn't act like that, or knows that you don't need that kind of thing, or vacuum tubes just aren't a thing like what you're describing, and it's like once you get that, you lose a reader, and you could write a review, which will cause other people to pop the bubble of reader comprehension and blah blah blah. But anyway, that's kind of what I was looking for. I hope it helps sort out what I do. You can of course DM me to hire me to help edit your book. No, it'll be reasonable. It'll be reasonable because I'm not going to do nearly as much as a proper editor would, but I'll give you a lot of good stuff. Because some editors, well, no, I should say I'm not going to do as much as a top tier editor who's very much worth the money, but I'll do more than most half-ass editors who think they're editors and just want to scam a writer out of some money. There we go. All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a good evening. Come again soon. We'll be back.